Hey there, welcome to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show. Today we're doing a look back. Actually, this week I'm going to be doing two look backs. Both seminal albums of these two groups, and so I'm kind of doing them together as a group. So I'll be doing one today and then one another day, the other one the other day. Both progressive rock albums, both from my top two favorite bands, and I think these albums are pretty strong in their catalog. Number one to most people for both albums, not necessarily for me. So the one I'm doing today is, of course, from this group, Rush, and that is this album. Let's try to put it somewhere where you can see it there. Yeah. So this is the Rush Moving Pictures album, considered their seminal album. Top Shelf album, was their biggest seller, the most popular album. Very good album. You can't say much about. You can't say anything wrong about it. It's fantastic. So, anyways, the vitals about this album are: it was released February 12, 1981, at the studio in Morin Heights in Quebec. The length is about 40 minutes, pretty close to 40 minutes. It's on Anthem label, of course, and Terry Brown and Rush were the producers of the album. The artwork was done by Hugh Sim. Basically, they just took a picture of them moving stuff up at, this is the Toronto City Hall here. If you haven't been to Toronto, that's what it looks like. The old City Hall, sorry, not the new one. This is a picture of the back of the album. Them getting all prepared to make the video of it, and then some people crying while they move these pictures in. It's actually a picture of, it looks like from Witch Hunt on there. So, anyways, that's the artwork. Of course, featured on this band is the people are always featured on this band. Geddy Lee's playing bass, keyboards, bass pedals, and vocals. Alex Lifeson, all 6 12-string electric and acoustic guitars and Taurus pedals, Moog Taurus pedals as well. Neil Peart, drums. Now, I was just going to put percussion, but he does play quite a bit of few things on here. Cymbals, gong, orchestra bells, glockenspiel, wind chimes, bell tree, crocktails, cowbell, and he actually plays some plywood on it. Yeah, he could find a way to make anything musical, eh? So, the other thing, I think Hugh Sim, who's the guy who did the artwork for the album, also played some synthesizers during the Witch Hunt song, which was one of the songs on the album that was pretty much made for the studio. It wasn't planned. They hadn't planned on playing it live, although they have played it live, I think, at least once anyways. Anyways, we'll just go over the tracks. I didn't write any of them down. There's no need to. I'm quite familiar with this album. The Tom Sawyer, which has long been, I think, the poster song for Rush. That's the song, when people think of Rush, that's the song that comes to mind. Has some great synthesizer beginning. Excellent vocals, of course. The lyrics are great. Guitar riffs are notable, catchy, with lots of hooks. And then, of course, there's the drum fill in the middle of the song that is the quintessential Neil Peart drum solo that people think of right away. John, he's the guy that does that thing in Tom Sawyer. Yeah, so fantastic drum riff. Red Barchetta is the next song on the album. A little bit longer, a little more methodic. Tells the story of cars and the motor cars in the future, and about, it's a little bit of a science fiction thing about how they're outlawed, and just the story about people's lives and stuff like that about this car. So another really good song. It's got some heavy riffing on it by Alex Lifeson. Fantastic guitar. Drums are notable. And I think Geddy Lee does a good job of tying all of this together with his vocal performance on this song. The number 3 song, much has been written about it, YYZ, or if you're in the States, YYZ. It's the area code, Morse code if you prefer, for Toronto International Airport, or Pearson Airport if you prefer. Yeah, they do this little bit. It's an instrumental, of course, there's no vocals, but it's a pretty solid instrumental. A lot of people really like this song quite a bit. I do. It's one of my favorite tracks on the album. It just highlights the band's musical skills, their instrumental skills, their ability to tie it all together and make a cohesive sound out of it. Fantastic. Limelight is kind of the, to me, it's kind of the commercial song made for the radio type song on this album. It's really done well, and it has, of course, the famous line about can't pretend the stranger is a long-awaited friend. That's a fairly well-known line by Rush, and of course, just really well orchestrated song. And for the longest time, the side 1 was the side that most people would listen to and didn't even bother with side 2. Side 2 is quite good. I don't think it's as good as side 1 overall, but it's a fairly good side of an album. Camera Eye, maybe a bit of an underrated song. Lots of synths on here. Tells about talks about the cities of London and New York here. It's about 12 minutes, the longest track. It's one of the last really long tracks that Rush did. I'm a bit hard pressed to think of any that reached the 10-minute mark after this song. I can't think of any offhand. But anyways, very good, well put together, some excellent drum tracks on this song. I think the keyboards play a prominent role on the song, where this was the beginning of the synth era. Well, the end of the progressive era, I think, came with this album, and then you got Signals, which is kind of a transitionary album, and then they went on to the more synthetic synth era music, more poppy oriented. Witch Hunt. This is not a song that I've ever cared a great deal for it. I don't mind it. In recent years, I've come to like it a little bit more. It's the first episode of the Fear trilogy, which is now 4-parter. They released one on Vapor Trails as well. So anyways, the last track on this album, very impactful for me. Probably my favorite track still. Was my favorite track initially on the album. It actually not even was it my favorite track on this album. It's one of my top 2. It was one of my top 2 or 3 at this period. I think Spirit of Radio, and I can't remember what the other track was I was thinking of. But anyway, Spirit of Radio and Vital Signs were 1-2 for me at that time period. They've gone down quite a bit. This song is still in my top 10 favorite Rush songs, but Spirit of Radio's fallen off. But anyways, great album. It doesn't have as much longevity for Rush albums as some of their other stuff. I came in at, I seen a couple of live videos in the mid 70s, late to mid 70s, 77. I think it was Don Kirshner's rock concert with some of the stuff from Farewell to Kings, and then I actually rented the Fly By Night album, this one, and listened to that. But I really didn't own a Rush album until I bought Permanent Waves, which is my favorite Rush album and was my favorite, it still is. That's what brought me into Rush. A lot of people came in on this album, and it was a big seller, and that many people cite this as their favorite Rush album. For me, doesn't make my top 5. It's a combination of it not having as much of an impact as some of the earlier stuff, and in hindsight, I was able to see that this was to be the last kind of progressive rock album by them. They started to drift away from that, so it's got a little bit of negative connotation to me. The other thing about it is it's so played so much. At least the 4 tracks on the A side were played so much, and it's kind of burned out the album, and it's been burned out for quite a bit of time. I recognize that the tracks are fantastic, and in the time period when it first came out, I liked it quite a bit, but it hasn't held up as well for those reasons, and so it's down in the 6th or 7th slot with me, and for those reasons. If it didn't get all that over airplay, it'd probably be a top 5 album for me for Rush. Anyway, still a great album, and of course Neil Peart, great on this. And if you haven't seen, I recently did a top 10 favorite drummers of rock history, and of course I'm doing this because I'm giving him a little bit of love for that video as well. Anyways, I'll be doing the Yes one probably in the next day or so, and I hope you enjoyed this and want me to do more of this. If you did, tell me what you like about the album, what you don't like about the album. Subscribe if you want me to do more of this kind of material, and I hope you have a good day today. And this is Prog Monster signing off.